What's up, guys? I want to make a video about ICP. So I'm on Solana, I'm on ICP, I'm on BNB. Obviously, you guys know I do a lot with BNB. I always talk about Venus. I always talk about these money markets. But in regard to ICP, it's been a very precarious thing. I'll really get deep in the weeds, and I'll be very impressed with a lot of things I see. One of the things though that I see that's kind of like a little bit of a red flag, and again, I'm staying very positive on it. I'm invested in the project. I'm on the chain. Exploring all the offerings as far as different apps, different platforms for NFTs, different things like open chat, these kind of things. Now, that being said, one of the things that I see on Twitter, I see on YouTube comments, is I feel like there are a lot of frustrated investors. They're ready for this thing to move, make an aggressive upward move, which obviously it did. It made that initial kind of move off those floor prices around $3, $4, and then it shot on up to 13, 14 bucks. And but people are waiting for this thing to pop off, go to 30, 40, 50 bucks. And I can tell that some people are getting frustrated. They're getting frustrated, and I'm trying to kind of like keep the pulse on that. And I'm trying to keep the pulse on like what is ICP sort of capable of from a community standpoint and for somebody launching apps on ICP. Because when I see what's going on with Solana, it's no surprise that the price is doing what it is, because people are going crazy with the meme coins, and I've previously made several videos about how Solana is like this meme coin, paradise, this degen paradise. And some people get upset about that. Fact of the matter is, the fees are low. You're able to get in and out. People are liking the experience. Some of this other stuff that's popped up, like the Jupiter airdrop, people really have enjoyed the Jupiter airdrop, and then it's, now the price is up on Jupiter. And I think a lot of that's maybe because people are buying up a lot of Jupiter to enter these various liquidity pools and stuff like that, and earning kind of from the DeFi aspects. So it continues to perform well, and so people are generally happy that have invested in Solana here lately. Now, could there be some people upside down on Solana? Yes, if they kind of bought at the peaks last bull market in 2021, and then they rode it all the way down and sold it, and then they didn't rebuy, they'd be pretty upset with Solana. But I see this a lot of times, and the biggest thing that I've always kind of been worried about with ICP, and I've tried to gauge this, is sort of the similarities or the dissimilarities with it and Block One and the EOS IO software. And if you guys are newer to this channel, around the 2018, 2019 time frame, a lot of us that are kind of on this channel, in this community, were pretty heavy into EOS. And then EOS obviously went up, and it was like, third on CoinMarketCap when it popped off, even before the mainnet launched. I went to, basically, I was involved in 3 EOS hackathons as a mentor. I went to Sydney, I went to San Francisco, and then the African one was remote through Discord, because I think it was 2020. It was after the scamdemic started. So, that one was just remote. So, that being said, I was pretty heavily involved in the EOS project, and we had very high hopes for that technology, and there was a lot of positive things, but then there was kind of negative things to kind of get through, and part of that was resource allocation. People started to kind of figure out ways that they could kind of harvest resources, and they called them mining, and that basically used up the CPU and the RAM on the EOS mainnet. Now, I was staked mainly to the REX, the resource exchange, and so in some respects I kind of benefited from those resource hogs. But anybody trying to use various dApps on the EOS mainnet were severely hampered and couldn't move around, and the network was congested. Now, they've eventually figured that out. Block One ultimately got lawsuit filed against them, maybe even multiple lawsuits that they never fulfilled the promise. They did this year-long ICO. They collected $4 billion. And essentially, they really kind of never really injected that back out into the community and back into developers. And then Brendan Bloomer, the CEO, even has it to where everybody's blocked on Twitter because everybody was, calling him a scammer. People really, really got negative towards him, and rightfully so, because they had raised so much money, obviously the $4 billion, and they did do some stuff initially that was, really cool, like the hackathons and everything like that. But the amount of money that they injected back into developers and different projects was really kind of minuscule compared to what they had collected. And then they bought just like, I don't know, it was like 110 or 150,000 Bitcoins, and then just sat on them. So they just basically took everybody's money, bought this huge, freaking treasure trove full of Bitcoins, and then just chilled on them. Like, that was their play. And then it was like, yo, that's a scam. Like, if that was your play, that's a scam at that point. So, a lot of us were very, very upset about that. Clearly, the community took over kind of the EOS mainnet. And then there was other technologies that, kind of spawned out of the EOS.io software, obviously Telos and Wax, Ultra, Proton. There were various other chains that run on the EOS.io software. So there's a lot of positives to what the EOS.io software was. There was a lot of, I guess, excitement about the technology. And so when I look at ICP, I sometimes worry because I haven't been there through the whole history of the thing. Yeah, I saw the Internet Computer kind of when it came out. It didn't really kind of do a deep dive on it when it first came out, to be honest with you. And ultimately, where I ended up kind of engaging with the ICP ecosystem and the community, and it kind of caught my eye, was when Jerry Banfield started pitching it. And this was back in September or October. And I even made a video saying that we need to take note that Jerry Banfield is pitching this. And I'm going to tell you why. And I said it in that video. Jerry can push traffic. If there's one thing that Jerry can do, he can push traffic. I saw him do it with Dash. I saw him do it with Steam. And it was actually unbelievable, like what he was able to do with Steam. Now, there were certain kind of positive attributes to the Steam community and everything that was going. It was kind of the perfect storm. Jerry Banfield was able to kind of amplify that with his YouTube ads. I think he pushed a lot of traffic through Facebook, and a lot of people ended up on Steemit.com or on the Steem blockchain because of Jerry Banfield. Now, ultimately, he got frustrated with the community. He had a falling out. He kind of shot himself in the foot with the whole thing. He kind of went away from the community, and and that's something we don't want to see. I can understand how somebody could get burned out making so many videos all the time, and you kind of put everything into it and everything. But so with the ICP community, I do see some people getting frustrated, and this is a shout out to the ICP community. This is for questions for guys that have been around, or the one or two girls that have, watching this video as well, that have invested in ICP, that, what's kind of been sort of the general consistency in your mind with the money that was raised and what's kind of went out to the original investors, and how much money Definity has. Because I've never really kind of been able to pinpoint, like, we know that EOS, we know that Block One, that they, that was a $4 billion ICO. They raised $4 billion. With Definity, I don't exactly know exactly how much they raised and how much they kind of purportedly sort of have left in their war chest, so to speak, to kind of do community grants, to continue development. I know they have a large developer team, and there's a lot of positive metrics that there's more development on ICP right now as far as GitHub is concerned, and these commits and stuff like that. There's more, there's more development going on ICP than any other chain, according to certain metrics. So, but as far as how much money they have, if people been okay with the amount of money that's went back to developers of the community, because one of the things that I've kind of noticed, or I'm just kind of playing catch up, is it's like this Discover app that originally it was like launched on ICP, and it's like that whole kind of app has pivoted to be over on Solana. Like they feel like they can capture a bigger community. So it seems like they've sort of pivoted. And then it seems like that District social media app that was really popular, they got to a point where maybe it was too expensive to pay for the hosting, to the canisters, and it just became too intensive or something. And so it seemed like they kind of stopped development on that. And it kind of seems like that's maybe happened to a few other projects, but I'm not really kind of sure. You kind of check, see like how active, is their Twitter, how active is this, how active is that. And, it's hard to determine kind of where certain projects are at. But from your guys' perspective, been around for a couple years, do you feel like enough money has been injected in supporting like developers? And then also a question is, are people just kind of disgruntled and frustrated because they haven't sort of reaped the benefits of like a recent pump within the last week or two kind of thing? Because people get very impatient when you see these meme coins, these meme tokens just popping off. I think that people just, they're like, when's my turn? And some of these people that went all in, let's say on ICP, I think that is always a dangerous move. And somebody even said it in a comment. They said, nothing kept you from investing in Solana and ICP. And I'm in that boat. I'm, investing in BNB, Solana, ICP, and a myriad of other things. So I feel like when you go too deep in one project, you become too like mentally vested in it, and you get too emotional with it. And I would say I was in that category with EOS. It was actually my biggest holding back in like 2018. And once kind of like we got close to 2020, it looked like the writing was on the wall, and the community was really disgruntled with Block One. And I ended up pivoting some of my holdings out of that, and luckily caught some rides with some other stuff. I still had a decent amount of EOS, and then it shot up, and then I was able to kind of offload a bunch of it at $11. The thing was, my cost basis was around $1. So I ended up okay. Now, some of the ICP people that bought in when this thing got pumped early, their cost basis might have been $150 or $100 per coin or something like that. And then I can see how they would just be mentally exhausted with this thing. Now it's almost like some of these new people that have came in, like myself, I don't feel the exhaustion from ICP. I'm just trying to make a wise decision. I could see this thing going two ways. I could see some killer like apps being launched. Obviously there's this, and I keep wanting to say blocktivity, but that's not the word, but there's an EVM that's going to launch. It's going to be like an EVM for Bitcoin, but it's going to launch on the internet computer and utilize chain key Bitcoin on the internet computer. And I think that that's going to bring a lot of the existing code and a lot of the DeFi, that's out on these different EVMs. That's going to be like a huge thing. And then Dominique Williams has already said that they're going to have chain key Solana. And I think that's going to be huge, because when I think about utilizing CK Bitcoin and CK ETH and then going back out to those native chains, I'm like, oh man, what's going to happen? I'm going to get hit with the fees, but I haven't tried it. I really have not tried that mechanism. So when I think about CK Soul, I'm thinking, okay, if I had it in CK Soul and then I wanted to get back out to, let's say, my Phantom wallet for Solana or something like that, it's going to be low fees. That's in my mind, that's just the way I'm sitting here thinking. Obviously, like the ecosystem and some of the people, that kind of opens up a lot of doors to potentially bring NFTs, that kind of thing. Some of the community stuff that's been positive and exciting and stuff like that, that's over on Solana, that could be a chance to sort of bring part of that community over. So I think that would be huge. But again, I don't know what the timeline is on some of this stuff. And when I look at it, and we could sit here and say, we could theorize, well, they should do CK Sol, and they should do CK Doge, and they should do CK LTC, for Litecoin. They should do this, and why don't they have USDC on there? Why isn't there CK USDC? Why isn't there a stable coin? You kind of ask yourself these questions. Now, obviously, these are all like hard problems to solve, and we don't know all what they're working on, and they're doing something that's different and revolutionary. So it's easily get impatient, especially when you're seeing these meme tokens, just popping off, and people are, just ending up with these kind of just ginormous bags, and you see them flexing out like on Twitter, and see them flexing out on YouTube Shorts and stuff like that, or on TikTok, this kind of stuff. And it's like frustrating. It's just like, okay, that stuff's all moving, and it gets hard just kind of being this very tech focused, like, oh, this is, the tech on this is superior. And that's kind of my issue, is like, for anybody trying to launch any kind of app, it's like, it makes a ton of sense in some ways to launch on ICP, because it's technically superior, and it can hold the data. You can hold pictures, video, you can launch your website on there. You can host the DApp on there, like your application, mobile apps. You can host all that information on there. Whereas on Solana, you can't do that. It's not going to be on chain, but there's a way bigger community over in Solana, and there's all this excitement, there's all this liquidity, and there's all this money sloshing around on Solana. So that's, it's kind of a tough situation. So anyway, guys, that's just kind of my thinking with ICP right now. I'm definitely bullish. I'm bullish on Solana. I'm bullish on BNB. I'm bullish on a lot of this stuff. So I'm not trying to be negative about ICP. I'm just asking you guys that have been around for a while, whether it's 6 months, a year, 2 years, if you feel like that funds have been allocated correctly, and if you feel like that developers are getting the proper support, and what are you guys seeing from a frustration standpoint, or what are your thoughts? Are you chilling? Did you lock your stuff up for like 8 years, and you're part of this like 8-year gang kind of thing? Or are you just kind of chilling with a smaller bag, and just when it pops, it pops? What are your guys' thoughts? Anyway, guys, follow me on all social media at Brian Phobos, YouTube, Instagram, Steemit, Twitter, Hive, DTube, Blurt, everywhere.